I think there's a lot of US purchasers that are sort of shut out from the investment ecosystem because of Reg D.
This just kind of, strikes me odd, right? Why is a stable chain so important for Bitcoin?
From your perspective, what is the current plasma bull case and plasma bear case? Welcome back to the Rollup. We are your hosts. I'm Andy.
I'm Robbie, and this is your home to learn from the biggest guests, the brightest minds at the tip of innovation.
Our goal is to help spread the collective knowledge of everyone in our community.
We are breaking crypto out of its echo chamber and taking it to the real world.
Hey,
Jacob.
what's up, guys?
Hello,
Welcome to the show, Jacob.
Yeah, Rob, Andy, what's up, guys? How you doing?
Dude, how do I get a jacket like that? That sweater is sick.
Yeah. Give me your address. I'll ship one your way.
Is it for the plasma elites only, Rob?
Yeah. We'll get one for you guys.
Cool.
Yeah, they're really comfortable. I actually picked them out, so yeah.
Very cool. Well, Jacob, man, welcome to the show. First time meeting you as well as Rob. At least that's what I think. Would love to just get a background on yourself, man. Like, who's Jacob? What are your hobbies? What do you like to do with your free time? How did you get into crypto? How'd you find plasma? Kind of get us up to speed so we can have a little foundation.
Yeah. Happy to. So I've been a lawyer in this space for about 8 years. I started dabbling in Bitcoin in about 2012, 2013 with a buddy of mine in undergrad. Really believed in the separation of money from state and still do in many ways. And that really, influences kind of how I operate as a human. Went off to law school in 2014 and totally abandoned any focus on crypto. Was just totally focused on school at the time. Graduated 2017, started doing capital markets work, mostly underwriter side IPOs. And the firm I was at the time actually represented Blockstack with their Reg A offering. So this was the first token registered with the SEC. And I kind of realized, hey, there's a niche here for crypto lawyers. So ended up becoming my entire practice, had somewhere between 100 and 150 clients. Moved in-house a few years ago. I was at another L2 or a layer 2 network. And then about 4 months ago, joined Plasma. One of the co-founders is a friend of mine, and it just made sense for me to join at the time. As for hobbies, I don't have any right now. Mainnet launch is coming up, but I have a 9-month-old son, so spend a lot of time with him at home.
Congrats!
Yeah, thanks, man. Try to run and work out when I can, but yeah, you know how it is.
What's it like being a dad in crypto?
It's great, man. It's beautiful. I think you just find like a new purpose for what we do. Actually, one of the reasons I wanted to join Plasma. Is because I think someday my son's going to ask me like, Dad, what did you do? What did you build? And I'll be really proud to tell him, I built Plasma, man. Like I built it with this epic team that we have. So yeah, that's it's pretty fun.
Well, things are getting hot out there, Jacob. I'll tell you that. The stable chain wars when you joined Plasma may or may not have really existed, but they firmly exist today. I saw your tweet talking about Plasma, really setting the stage for what a stable chain really is, if we're calling them that. I suppose that's the terminology nowadays.
Yeah, I don't mind that.
Yeah, okay, cool. Maybe we can just understand from your perspective here, how did Plasma come about to lead this category, right? Like, I think it's very clear Plasma is the leading stable chain today. None of them are live, so it's even hard to have a category. But when you're looking at this map here, you're understanding like, okay, there's a core use case for payments for blockchains to, verifiably, conduct payments across global settlement, et cetera. How do you think about this stable chain race today with regards to Plasma leading the way? What is your broad holistic view? And then we can dive in.
I mean, the easy answer is it's not a distraction for us at all. We try not to think about it too much. We're heads down, focused on what we're building. But taking a step back, when we first pitched Plasma, in this idea of a stable chain, it didn't exist at the time, right? People were like, stable coins don't need their own chains. And now we've seen some of the largest companies in the world sort of validate what we're not even sort of, they are validating what we're building. Even down to some of the same copy that we've discussed. And it just shows that, we have the brightest team in the world thinking about some of the best issues. And we're going to continue doing that to the best of our abilities, even with some of these competitors popping up.
Got it. Jacob, another thing that I wanted to ask you about is a tweet that you had. It was also it was a quote tweet on top of Vance from Framework, who I think we're gonna have on the show tomorrow.
Awesome.
But I'm curious if we can kind of get your take on this. Maybe we'll cut the clip and we'll quote tweet your tweet. And you said the original was that plasma is the most important thing to happen to Bitcoin in a very long time. And this just kind of, you know, strikes me odd, right? Why is a stable chain so important for Bitcoin?
It's a great question, Rob. So, you know, we are going to be building a bridge to Bitcoin from Plasma. Yeah, kind of back to my early days in crypto, I tried to play with some early Bitcoin DeFi tools, and they just weren't very good. I think Plasma will be the first to really bring a strong distribution mechanic to DeFi on Bitcoin. Again, I'm a big Bitcoin believer. I think it's the best asset in the world that's really going to separate money from government and allow people to truly transact the way they want to transact and save money as well, right? So I think it starts with building a really strong base, which we're doing at Plasma, and then you'll see as that Bitcoin bridge is introduced, we're really going to bring people over. Really, to hone in on your question though, Rob, I think you know, in a few years we're going to see people hold two assets: stablecoins and Bitcoin. And I think they're going to hold stablecoins that they can transact in, and they're going to hold Bitcoin that they can save money in and use as an asset that's going to appreciate over time.
Got it. There's strong interplay between those two.
Yes.
The separation between money and state, I think, is something that we hear a lot about, we talk a lot about. It's still very theoretical. In your words, like, what does that look like in practice, right? Like, we have a lot of combination, you know, there's a lot of factors that go into it. Maybe people don't really understand like the ins and outs of it. What does, if we were to separate the two, what's the point A where we are now to the point B end state that we're trying to achieve?
Yeah, great question. I think it starts with separating money from politics and money from policies. So we're even sort of seeing it now with the Trump administration and their approach to really forcing the Federal Reserve, or trying to force the Federal Reserve to its lower interest rates. And, you know, it might be good in the short term, might be bad in the long term. I'll let everyone have their own opinion on that. But the fact that a single president on a 4-year term can kind of dictate money the way they want just speaks to the core of the issue. So I think, you know, if we can start separating Bitcoin, you know, it's the truest form of money because it's separate from these policies in itself. There's no one that governs it. There's no one that gets to control distribution rate of Bitcoin. There's no one that gets to control the underlying policies of it, right? It's a true autonomous currency. So it takes away those policies, and it takes away, you know, this cyclical 4-year term you're seeing with presidents, or 8-year term sometimes, that really dictate people's lives.
Yeah, it is pretty crazy that we just have Trump strongmanning Jay Powell right now, just publicly berating him.
Yeah. I mean, not even 𝗃𝗏. If you look down the entire federal, you know, governor's board, we've seen him remove somebody, and now there's a lawsuits going on there, and it's quite interesting and quite fascinating. My general take on it, not to get into the politics of it, is whether you support it or not, we you know, this level of power is really asinine to support, because, you know, you may be pro-Trump, but in 4 years of, you know, if the Democrats elected, you've just given them a pathway to sort of do the same thing, to enact their own policies.
Yeah, totally agreed. Just kind of zooming in on some of the more current events here. Recently, there was a pretty insane liquidation spike on XPL, the plasma pre-market on Hyperliquid. Justin Sun, who I would consider somewhat of a competitor to Plasma at the largest scale. Like, if I'm thinking about the bull case for Plasma here, I'm thinking that XPL and the chain overtakes Tron at some point, right? Like, I'm thinking like the amount of Tether transactions happening right on Plasma should overtake Ethereum and overtake Tron. Like, that's like where we're trying to go. Justin Sun probably feels.
Go, Andy, not where we're trying to go.
I'm going to ask you about your bull and bear case here shortly as well. But thinking about what Justin Sun is running in his mind, seeing this happen from the counsel perspective, right? Like, from the legal perspective. Now, I don't know what you can and can't talk about, but like, when it comes to these types of situations, when you're managing community sentiment, when you're managing the legalities of pre-markets, of post-markets, of mainnet launches, like, you have a different perspective than a lot of other people. You know, when it comes to this liquidation event, or these kind of like weird gray area situations in crypto markets. From the legal perspective, how do you view these now? And perhaps has your view on these types of situations changed due to the regulatory changes of the US? Maybe just walk us through how you think about these types of like crazy situations that happen in crypto that seemingly don't happen elsewhere.
Yeah, great question. I can't speak too much on the specifics of XPL for obvious reasons, but I can tell you we at Plasma do a really good job of not letting these things be a distraction to the work we want to do, which is overtake Ethereum, overtake Tron, and build the world's best payments network. But they're hard to ignore. They happen. Rumor says it was Justin's son. I've seen notes to the contrary of that.
Okay.
The thing about these pre-markets, right, is they're highly manipulatable, and I think it speaks to some of maybe the underlying tech and less about the token itself. We saw whomever it was rotate from XPL to World Liberty Fight, right, and then sort of running the same playbook there. So we generally try to ignore it. It is hard to ignore. Justin, if you're out there trading XPL, it is what it is. Let's just keep an eye on how number of transactions on the network over the next year.
Well, dude, that brings up a really good point though, because today, and this is another good like legal type question that is not related to Plasma, but I think you'll have an opinion on. Today, World Liberty Fi decided to blacklist Justin's son's address, locking $540 million or $540 million in unlocked tokens. So they locked his unlocked tokens and 2.4 billion in locked tokens, and say they believe an exchange has been using user tokens to sell and push down the price. So there's some comments saying from 𝗹𝗶𝗃𝗃𝗃, you do not dump on the president dumps on you. Unstoppable crime meets immovable scammer. Kobe says question mark. Mert put a picture of Trump and says, I was a businessman doing business. What's your take from the legal perspective on this? Like, is World Liberty Fi, are they right to be locking tokens? Like, in what permissionless environment should we be able to allow locking of tokens in this open market? We all know Justin's son, but what's your take from the legal perspective on this?
Yeah, I think this is the consequence of not thinking through unlocking the tokens in the first place, and sort of just making a shotgun decision on that, because I know they decided to unlock their tokens recently. But no, I don't think it's good. I think it speaks to centralization, which if you look at the ethos of crypto, we are moving away from that, and it becomes a lot more complicated when it's the president of the United States. And I look forward to the Justin Sun versus POTUS lawsuit that'll be filed in the federal courts next week.
Oh my goodness, man.
Insane.
Yeah.
Insane. Justin's son.
It just sets a weird precedent, It's just like, oh, we're gonna lock Justin's son's tokens like this because
it does. This has happened in the past with coins, but again, I think it becomes a lot more complicated when it's a project that's closely held to the highest elected official in office, and probably the highest elected official in the world. So I'm not sure how this is going to play out, but it'll be a fun one to watch.
Introducing Extended exclusively on Starknet, a next-gen perps trading platform live today. With 50+ trading pairs from crypto to TradFi, you get the best experience on-chain today. Deposit in the community vault for attractive returns, EMV compatible, and engage in unified margin spot trading, lending, and perps trading. Exclusively live at extended.app on Starknet today. Cool. All right, let's revert back to Plasma. I did mention that I'm curious what your bull and bear case is, and I genuinely think that we can get to a point where transaction volume and notional volume is going to be higher than Ethereum and Tron. I think that's probably part of the end game goal here. When you decided to join Plasma, what was your mental kind of thought process on like, okay, what is the bull case here? What is the upside in terms of market dominance? And then, maybe you thought through, okay, what if this doesn't work? What is the bear case? From your perspective, what is the current Plasma bull case and Plasma bear case? Yeah,
I think in our bubble, we look at number of transactions, but that's just the start for us. I want to and the rest of the team wants to really be a payment tool in everyone's pocket globally. And through that, we will surpass Ethereum and Tron just by the pure distribution. So, I mean, my bull case is that you're using Plasma and don't even know it. I mean, how many times a day are you using checkout tools or payments tools or underlying payments rails, and you're not even aware that you're using those? Andy, how many coffees have you had today? You know, you mentioned iced coffee.
I'm fired.
Bro, me too. I've had like 4. But you know, that's all happening on the same payments network, and we don't even really know it as a consumer. So we want Plasma, and Plasma will be the rails of that happening.
Okay, and then what is your bear case?
There's no bear case, man.
Okay.
Yeah, there is no bear case for me. I'm super bullish on stablecoins from both, you know, a consumer and policy perspective. I mean, kind of to tie back to the earlier conversation, the bear case is a general crypto bear case, and my concern is that a lot of the stuff that's happening in the current market, you know, when we have a new, you know, electorate in 2028, kind of gets flipped over with a little bit too much regulation, you know? So I wouldn't say it's a Plasma specific bear case, but I think it's more of a general crypto bear case.
And this administration had the Genius Act. Obviously that kind of opened the floodgates for stablecoins. Secretary of the Treasury Bessent has said publicly that he wants $3 trillion in stablecoin circulating.
He's even saying trillions.
3 trillion by 2028, and how he wants to basically issue the government debt in stablecoins, or at least have stablecoin issuers purchase this debt, hold it on their balance sheet, to then deploy these stablecoins. How much does the strategy coming from the Treasury impact the strategy at Plasma, and is there a working relationship? What kind of interplay do you have there?
Yeah, I mean, we're talking to regulators around the world, policymakers around the world. For us, I think that, you know, the Treasury is a really strong signal. I think Genius is obviously amazing for the space, and I'm really excited about the market structure bill that'll be coming out, you know, and playing through the House. I would caution that this is just the foundation. There's still a lot of work to do. There are active lobbying groups out there that are lobbying, you know, congressmen, congresswomen very hard right now. You know, American Banking Association being one of them. They're filing letters to applicable senators weekly, basically. This week it's about the yield loophole that some exchanges are, you know, are introducing, but you know, they were also the ones who fought against allowing yields through the stable bills, right? So it's just going to be a constant battle. I also think Bessent and Treasury, they're a strong signal for the rest of the world is going. We're not necessarily focused on the Western market as much, right? We really care about emerging markets. So some of the conversations that I've had that are really interesting lately are with policymakers in Turkey, policymakers in the UAE, one really interesting, Syria, you know, Egypt, places that, you know, people aren't really thinking about, but these jurisdictions take a strong signal from, you know, what the US is going to be doing.
Yeah, and they receive a lot of the benefit of stablecoins, just access to dollars, access to dollar-denominated yields, these types of things. And so I've noticed that you guys have started to promote some of the Plasma ecosystem a bit. There's been some Twitter accounts created for lending markets, for yield products, for payment products, consumer apps. And I imagine these will be tightly integrated with the network such that, right, there's an ideal world here where we have the Plasma chain. Users globally have a Plasma wallet account. They can spend their money directly at, you know, at point of sale systems around the world without having to have that money go in their bank account. Some sort of integration from, you know, the Plasma chain, like that last mile thing. Is always the conversation about you know, kind of stable chains. Is there a development within the Plasma ecosystem around yield products, around POS products, around you know, vaults, these types of things? Like, what has been the development such that it's not just a chain for payments, but it's like I can live my entire financial you know, kind of setup on chain there?
Yeah, Andy, I don't know if you've bugged our offices, but this is a great question and something we're often thinking about. You know, we view stable coin usage in 4, right? Save, spend, send, and earn. So it's not just spending, right? Like a lot of people around the world hold stable coins so that they can save money because they may be living in an area with a deflationary asset. A lot of people send money back home. And then the one you just hit on, which I'm very excited about, is 𝗀. So I actually saw you have Sun on the show next. And I was really excited to see his name pop up, and really shout out to 𝗿𝗏. They've been an amazing partner to work with for us. They just also hired a rockstar GC. And, you know, I'm excited to continue that relationship with them, and there'll definitely be some stuff coming out. I can't share too much, obviously, but those are the 4 categories that we're thinking about, and the products being built on top of the chain reflect those 4 categories. Also, you touched on ecosystem. Really want to give a shout out to the Plasma ecosystem team. I've worked across a lot of teams, and they're working their butts off 24/7 to get the best blue chip partners launching on Plasma, which is going to be great for distribution on our network.
Yeah, I saw 𝗷𝗵𝗃𝗀𝗵 and then others, as well as native platforms as well.
Yeah, it's going to be a really fun network to play on. Yeah.
Very cool. Very cool. Yeah, Rob.
Yeah. So I'm just trying to think through like what this endgame looks like. Once we have all these stable coins come on chain, the Treasury is literally printing T-bills, and they're going almost directly to these stablecoin issuers. The banking lobby is going to have to bend the knee at a certain point, right? Like they're continuing, they're fighting this tooth and nail. But what happens once those banks sort of accept the eventual reality? It's not like they're going to just lose deposits, right? Those deposits end up on chain. So could you walk us through like how you see that progression happening?
Yeah, I think it's going to happen very quick. We've already seen JP Morgan, Citibank introduce, you know, internal programs. I'm having conversations with some of those people in those programs. And I think, you know, we're going to look 6 months down the road, and the landscape's going to look totally different from today. The deposit point's really interesting. So as we know, you know, unlike many other banking systems around the world, the deposit system actually is very important in America. And that is, you know, something the American Banking Association has lobbied for. But where they get wrong is that those deposits don't need to live in bank accounts. They can live on chain.
Yeah.
And like you and I aren't going to know that as consumers, but like we're going to have access to really cool yield programs, possibly by 𝗿𝗏. We're going to, you know, through our bank accounts someday. And it's going to be very cool. But I agree with you, Robbie. They're going to have to bend the knee.
Yeah.
And so they eventually bring their assets on chain. You've said you've worked with some of these guys and kind of seen their internal programs that they have running. Are they running back this 2018, 2019 permissioned blockchain, sort of like a walled garden setup where they're going to have their own L1, call it, they're going to have their own yield products? Or is there now, with the growth of Ethereum and Plasma, these other chains, is there going to be a push to make these more of a public chain and become composable with the rest of the ecosystem?
Yeah, I think that's going to be largely driven by regulation, to be honest. So I had a conversation with a colleague today. A lot of these systems will probably be closed at first, and that's just a nature of the KYC AML rules that a lot of these banks are subject to. So I think as an industry, we could, you know, and a lot of us are doing it, but we could go to the regulators and discuss, you know, why the public blockchains are better than these permission networks in many ways. But I think we'll see them as closed networks to begin with, which is, you know, sort of unfortunate. We just need to do better as an ecosystem.
Just a matter of time before they bend the knee again. The last kind of follow-up that I have for you on this is that you know, there's a lot that we have done. Genius Act, there's Clarity Act, there's all these things that have been passed through, but there's still a lot of work to go. If you were counsel for the SEC or, you know, the US government, like what would be some of the regulations that you would try to push through or you would recommend to lawmakers?
Yeah, actually, that's a great question, and a big one that we just dealt with. So as you guys know, we just raised $50 million through our public ICO. We have 373 million. Yeah, thank you. We had $373 million of committed funds. All of those purchasers were fully KYC through Sonar, which is Echo's new product. But one of the things about that sale, right, is we still had to comply with Reg S and Reg D. So I think there's a lot of US purchasers that are sort of shut out from the investment ecosystem because of Reg D. Now the SEC just put out a list today of rules they're going to be looking at. I haven't had a chance to dive into that. I quickly looked at it and didn't see Reg D on there. But that's probably one of the first rules I would look at is, you know, access to more investments for all consumers.
So
Yeah.
Reg D is just the accredited investor rule?
It's the
more or
accredited
less?
investor rule. Yeah, you have to have a certain net worth or,
Yeah,
you
yeah.
know, particular license, or, you know, make a certain amount of money per year to participate. And that's just a bad test, right? It just blocks people out from participating in cool ecosystems.
So Jacob, when you're looking at dealing with other you know, let's say non-crypto banks and you know, shops in Turkey and consumers in Buenos Aires and all over, right? They're not really operating in the same lens as, you know, we are in, let's just call it like the Western world. Like, what matters to them from a regulatory or legal perspective? And like, what legal hurdles are you having to go through to get things done in, like, you know, in the global setting? You know, is it new challenges for you, stuff that you have experience in? Like, just curious, like what kind of like hurdles you're having to go through to get things done globally?
Great question. I'm spending a lot of my time these days focused on payments laws, not just in the US, but globally. You know, 𝗵𝗶𝗴𝗵, you know, the CASP rules in the EU, a lot in South America. So I'm learning to navigate that, which has been a really fun and new challenge as general counsel to Plasma. And I think in these jurisdictions, they don't, a lot of these just don't have regulations, right? I mean, like some of they have really early and young banking systems. They don't have an SEC per se. So for us, it's really about educating a lot of the vendors and people we want to work across from about, you know, why crypto can be a good solution for what they need for their own consumers in their regions.
So is it easier then to get stuff done?
It is, but it's different, right? It's just a different sort of education. You know, what I mean, some of these conversations is like, what is a stablecoin?
Right, of course.
You know, and why Plasma, which has been a lot of fun. I think oftentimes we get in the weeds of what we do, and sometimes it's good to take a step back and realize there's honestly probably 7 billion people who don't know who don't know about crypto. And so a lot of this is just, you know, education on why Plasma will be the payments network over the next 5 years. It's going to be the fastest growing.
Yeah.
And
bullish.
You know, a big part of this, I wanted to ask, and we may be running short on time here, but you guys have a relationship with Tether. This is a big part of your strategy. You know, maybe there are things you can share, maybe there's things that you can't, but I'm just curious, like how that relationship has evolved and generally why it's an important piece to Plasma's strategy, why you guys chose to go with Tether versus another stablecoin. How do you see Plasma and Tether working together going forward to really champion stablecoins across emerging markets?
I mean, Tether has the best distribution of any asset in the world. 400 million people hold Tether. They use Tether daily. They hold Tether to save money. The relationship with them is very strong. They've been a great resource for us, both on the business and policy and legal side. So we'll continue to work with them, and we have some stuff in the hopper that, you know, obviously I can't discuss.
In the hopper, when Mainnet, boys and girls, we've got XPL pre-market. Justin's son or somebody's over here manipulating it. We got crazy hype on this one. Jacob, what's the next 6 weeks look like for you guys? I know you guys are slammed in London in the office, just absolutely dialed. What's the next 6 weeks look like?
Mainnet is what we're focused on. We're heads down. I think for a lot of companies, Mainnet is the crescendo of what they build. It's their product. For us, it's the platform for what we're going to build next. So we got to get that out, which, you know, I'm actually, my laptop is sitting on a pack of Celsius right now, which I'll be drinking one of these after this. We'll get Mainnet out, and that's go time, right? That's the time we've got the platform we can build on, and you'll start to see some of the really cool stuff that you know, I've been alluding to.
4 coffees, a pack of Celsius, and a fresh crew neck.
Yes, sir. I need one of
That's
those.
what you get when you go to the Plasma office.
That's right.
Yes, sir. Jacob, man, I appreciate your time. Thanks for joining. It was a pleasure to meet you. Look forward to hanging out one day in London or somewhere around in a conference, learning some more about the legal side of the world. Don't spend much time there, but definitely some fun insights. And just appreciate you bearing with our curiosities. They are constantly evolving.
Has been fun. Yeah, this has been awesome. Really great to meet you guys. Happy to hop on anytime and chat legal. But I got to go launch Mainnet now.
Good luck, sir.
Well,
Inshallah.
see ya.
Yeah,
Keep
bye,
up the
guys.
work.
Inshallah, sir. Alrighty.
Thanks, Jacob.